Ethan lived a quiet life in a small apartment on the edge of the city. He was 32, single, and worked at a small technology company. Most nights, he would come home, eat something simple, and fall asleep watching old science fiction movies. But tonight felt different. The air outside was heavy, almost electric, and his room felt too quiet, as if the city itself was holding its breath. Ethan didn't think much about it. He took a shower, turned off his phone, and lay on his bed, completely tired from the day. As usual, he liked to sleep without clothes. It made him feel free and relaxed. He closed his eyes and whispered to himself, "Tomorrow will be better." But he had no idea that tonight nothing would ever be the same again. The room was dark except for the faint light from the street lamp outside. The ticking of the clock was the only sound. Ethan began to drift into sleep when suddenly he felt something strange, a vibration, soft but deep, coming from the floor beneath him. His eyes opened slightly, but the room looked normal. He turned his head and tried to ignore it, thinking it might be a passing truck outside. But the vibration grew stronger. It was now like a pulse, steady and rhythmic, beating in time with his own heartbeat. His eyes opened wide. He sat up quickly and looked around. The clock on the wall had stopped. The air felt thick, and a faint humming sound filled the room. He felt his chest tighten. "What's happening?" he whispered. The light from the window flickered once, then disappeared. Total darkness swallowed the room. Ethan reached for his bedside lamp, but before he could touch it, a bright white light exploded around him. He closed his eyes tightly and shouted, but the sound of his own voice disappeared into silence. It was like being underwater, no air, no sound, only light and pressure. Then suddenly, everything stopped. The light faded. The vibration was gone. Slowly, he opened his eyes. What he saw made his breath catch in his throat. He was no longer in his room. The bed was gone. The walls, the window, everything. Gone. He was lying on a cold, smooth metallic floor, still naked, surrounded by a faint blue glow that came from the walls. The air was cool and thin, and there was a gentle humming noise, like a machine breathing. Ethan sat up, his hands shaking. "Where am I?" His voice echoed softly through the empty space. The room around him was circular, smooth, and seamless. There were no doors, no windows, just strange lines of light moving slowly around the walls like living veins of energy. He stood up, feeling the cold surface beneath his feet. His heart was racing. He took a few careful steps forward, looking around for any sign of a door or an exit. That's when he noticed a small glowing symbol on the wall in front of him. It looked like a circle with moving dots inside it, changing shape every few seconds. He hesitated, then reached out his hand. As soon as his fingers touched the symbol, the light under his skin glowed faintly, and the symbol shifted into a different pattern. Ethan jumped back in shock. "What is this place?" he said softly. Then he heard it, a voice. But it wasn't coming from outside. It was inside his head, calm, soft, and almost emotionless. "Do not be afraid, Ethan," the voice said. "You are safe." Ethan froze. "Who are you?" he whispered. "What do you want?" There was no reply for a moment, just the sound of the low hum filling the air. Then the voice returned. "We are observing. You have been chosen." Ethan shook his head. "Chosen for what? What is this?" He turned around, trying to find where the sound was coming from, but there was no one there, only the same glowing walls, silent and alive. Suddenly, the floor beneath him began to move, shifting like liquid metal. He stumbled, trying to keep his balance. The walls began to rotate slowly, and the lights grew brighter. He covered his eyes. Then he saw something, shapes forming in the light, like holograms, people, faces, some human, some not. Their eyes glowed faintly blue. They were watching him. Whispering voices surrounded him, overlapping, strange and alien. He could not understand the words, but somehow he felt their meaning. Curiosity, study, testing. He fell to his knees, covering his ears, shouting, "Stop it! Please stop!" Just as suddenly as it began, it all stopped again. Silence. Ethan opened his eyes, gasping for air. The faces were gone. The lights dimmed back to the soft blue glow. He sat on the cold floor, shaking, sweat running down his face. His mind was spinning. None of this made sense. He whispered to himself, "This is to be a dream. It has to be." But when he pinched his arm, the pain was real. The cold under his feet was real. The fear in his chest was real. He looked at the glowing symbol again and felt a strange pull toward it, as if it was calling him. Slowly, he stood up and whispered, "If this is a dream, it's the most real dream I've ever had." He took one more step toward the wall, and the symbol began to change again. The humming sound returned, louder now, and the light started to rise from the floor, wrapping around him like mist. His heart pounded faster. He tried to move, but his body felt frozen. The last thing he saw before the light swallowed him was his reflection on the metallic wall, eyes wide, mouth open, trapped between fear and wonder. And then, once again, everything went white. When the light faded, Ethan found himself standing, not lying, in a new place. His body trembled. His breath came in short gasps. The air here was different, sharper, cleaner, almost electric. He blinked several times, trying to focus. He was no longer in the circular room. Now he stood inside a long metallic corridor, glowing with blue light from thin lines along the walls. The floor beneath his bare feet was smooth but strangely warm. He looked around, confused, whispering, "Where am I now?" There was a faint humming sound, like the purr of distant machinery. The walls seemed to move slightly, pulsing softly like the inside of a living thing. Ethan took a few cautious steps forward. Every sound, even his own breathing, echoed around him. He shouted, "Hello? Is anyone here?" His voice bounced back, lonely and small. For a few moments, nothing happened. Then, from far down the corridor, he saw a flicker of movement. A soft blue glow shifted. Someone, or something, was walking toward him. Ethan froze. His heart pounded so loudly it drowned out everything else. The figure came closer, its shape slowly becoming clearer. It was tall, slim, and graceful. At first, he thought it was human, but as it stepped into the light, he realized it wasn't. The figure was a woman, or something that looked like one, with long, silver-blonde hair that shimmered like glass. Her skin was smooth, almost glowing, and her eyes, bright, icy blue, looked straight at him, sharp and unblinking. Her ears were slightly pointed, her expression calm, almost emotionless. Ethan stumbled back, whispering, "Oh my God, what are you?" The woman stopped a few feet away, studying him in silence. Then, without moving her lips, he heard her voice, not with his ears, but inside his head. "You are not harmed," she said calmly. "Your fear is unnecessary." Ethan shook his head. "What do you mean? What is this place? Who are you?" His voice cracked. "Why am I here?" The woman tilted her head slightly, observing him. "You were chosen. You were taken for study." The words echoed in his mind, cold and slow, as if she spoke each one with perfect control. Ethan's knees felt weak. "Study? You took me from my home." She didn't answer directly. Instead, she took a slow step closer. "You exist in a fragile world," she said. "We have watched your kind for centuries. Your emotions are powerful. They make you different." Ethan's eyes widened. "You mean humans?" She nodded once. "Yes, you call yourselves that." Her expression remained unreadable, but there was something strange in her eyes, curiosity, almost sadness. He looked down at himself and suddenly remembered he was naked. Heat rushed to his face. "Can you at least give me something to wear?" he asked awkwardly. The woman blinked, and instantly a soft light formed around him, like mist. It wrapped over his body and became a smooth, dark suit that felt like silk. Ethan touched it in disbelief. "What is this?" "Protection," she replied simply. "You will need it." He wanted to ask more questions, but his thoughts were all over the place. "Please," he said, his voice breaking, "I just want to go home." The woman's blue eyes softened slightly. "Home is not gone, but you must understand before you return." Ethan frowned. "Understand what?" She turned and gestured for him to follow. "Come," she said. "You must see." Ethan hesitated but followed her. The corridors stretched endlessly, glowing blue around them. As they walked, he noticed strange panels on the wall showing images, cities, oceans, mountains, all moving like videos. But some were not Earth. He saw red skies, floating islands, creatures that looked half human, half machine. "Are these other worlds?" he asked. The woman nodded. "Other realities. You live in only one. But there are many." Ethan shook his head slowly. "That's impossible." She looked at him with calm eyes. Impossible is a word your kind uses when it cannot see beyond its limits. They reached a large open hall. The ceiling was high and filled with light, swirling like stars in the night sky. In the center was a round platform surrounded by floating symbols. The woman stepped onto it and looked back at him. "This is where you will remember." Ethan frowned. "Remember what? I don't understand." She raised her hand and touched the center of the platform. Instantly, the air shimmered, and the lights began to form shapes, images floating around them like ghosts. Ethan gasped. He saw himself, a child, playing in the park with his mother. Then, flashes of his life, growing up, working, being alone in his apartment. But between those memories were strange images, bright lights above his bed, tall figures standing beside him while he slept, machines around his body. What is this?" he whispered. "You have been observed," she said quietly. "Many of your kind have. But you are different." Ethan's eyes filled with tears. "Different? I'm just a normal man." The woman stepped closer, her voice gentle in his mind. "You feel deeply. You question everything. That is why we watch you." She paused, studying his face. "You are the key to what connects our world and yours." He stared at her, speechless. His heart raced, his mind spinning with confusion and fear. "Why me?" he whispered. "Why not someone else?" The woman's glowing eyes softened. "Because, Ethan," she said quietly, "you already met us before. You just don't remember yet." Her words hit him like a wave. His body went still. "Met you?" he repeated. "When?" The lights around them flickered, and the images on the walls changed, showing a small boy lying in bed as a faint blue light glowed above him. Ethan's heart stopped. "That's me," he whispered. "That's me when I was a child." The woman nodded slowly. "Yes, that was the first time we came to you." Ethan felt cold all over. His childhood memories suddenly flashed. Strange dreams he'd forgotten, nights when he woke up feeling watched. He had always believed they were just nightmares. But now, he wasn't sure anymore. The woman looked at him with quiet sadness. "You were never meant to remember. But the time has come. You must know who you are." The blue light around him grew brighter. Ethan took a step back, fear filling his chest again. "Who I am?" he repeated, his voice shaking. "What are you talking about?" The woman looked directly into his eyes and whispered, "You are not completely human, Ethan." The light exploded once more, and everything turned white. When the light faded, Ethan found himself standing, not lying, in a new place. His body trembled. His breath came in short gasps. The air here was different, sharper, cleaner, almost electric. He blinked several times, trying to focus. He was no longer in the circular room. Now he stood inside a long metallic corridor, glowing with blue light from thin lines along the walls. The floor beneath his bare feet was smooth but strangely warm. He looked around, confused, whispering, "Where am I now?" There was a faint humming sound, like the purr of distant machinery. The walls seemed to move slightly, pulsing softly like the inside of a living thing. Ethan took a few cautious steps forward. Every sound, even his own breathing, echoed around him. He shouted, "Hello? Is anyone here?" His voice bounced back, lonely and small. For a few moments, nothing happened. Then, from far down the corridor, he saw a flicker of movement. A soft blue glow shifted. Someone, or something, was walking toward him. Ethan froze. His heart pounded so loudly it drowned out everything else. The figure came closer, its shape slowly becoming clearer. It was tall, slim, and graceful. At first, he thought it was human, but as it stepped into the light, he realized it wasn't. The figure was a woman, or something that looked like one, with long, silver-blonde hair that shimmered like glass. Her skin was smooth, almost glowing, and her eyes, bright, icy blue, looked straight at him, sharp and unblinking. Her ears were slightly pointed, her expression calm, almost emotionless. Ethan stumbled back, whispering, "Oh my God, what are you?" The woman stopped a few feet away, studying him in silence. Then, without moving her lips, he heard her voice, not with his ears, but inside his head. "You are not harmed," she said calmly. "Your fear is unnecessary." Ethan shook his head. "What do you mean? What is this place? Who are you?" His voice cracked. "Why am I here?" The woman tilted her head slightly, observing him. "You were chosen. You were taken for study." The words echoed in his mind, cold and slow, as if she spoke each one with perfect control. Ethan's knees felt weak. "Study? You took me from my home." She didn't answer directly. Instead, she took a slow step closer. "You exist in a fragile world," she said. "We have watched your kind for centuries. Your emotions are powerful. They make you different." Ethan's eyes widened. "You mean humans?" She nodded once. "Yes, you call yourselves that." Her expression remained unreadable, but there was something strange in her eyes, curiosity, almost sadness. He looked down at himself and suddenly remembered he was naked. Heat rushed to his face. "Can you at least give me something to wear?" he asked awkwardly. The woman blinked, and instantly a soft light formed around him, like mist. It wrapped over his body and became a smooth, dark suit that felt like silk. Ethan touched it in disbelief. "What is this?" "Protection," she replied simply. "You will need it." He wanted to ask more questions, but his thoughts were all over the place. "Please," he said, his voice breaking, "I just want to go home." The woman's blue eyes softened slightly. "Home is not gone, but you must understand before you return." Ethan frowned. "Understand what?" She turned and gestured for him to follow. "Come," she said. "You must see." Ethan hesitated but followed her. The corridors stretched endlessly, glowing blue around them. As they walked, he noticed strange panels on the walls showing images, cities, oceans, mountains, all moving like videos. But some were not Earth. He saw red skies, floating islands, creatures that looked half human, half machine. "Are these other worlds?" he asked. The woman nodded. "Other realities. You live in only one. But there are many." Ethan shook his head slowly. "That's impossible." She looked at him with calm eyes. "Impossible is a word your kind uses when it cannot see beyond its limits." They reached a large open hall. The ceiling was high and filled with light, swirling like stars in the night sky. In the center was a round platform surrounded by floating symbols. The woman stepped onto it and looked back at him. "This is where you will remember." Ethan frowned. "Remember what? I don't understand." She raised her hand and touched the center of the platform. Instantly, the air shimmered, and the lights began to form shapes, images floating around them like ghosts. Ethan gasped. He saw himself, a child, playing in the park with his mother. Then, flashes of his life, growing up, working, being alone in his apartment. But between those memories were strange images, bright lights above his bed, tall figures standing beside him while he slept, machines around his body. What is this?" he whispered. "You have been observed," she said quietly. "Many of your kind have. But you are different." Ethan's eyes filled with tears. "Different? I'm just a normal man." The woman stepped closer, her voice gentle in his mind. "You feel deeply. You question everything. That is why we watch you." She paused, studying his face. "You are the key to what connects our world and yours." He stared at her, speechless. His heart raced, his mind spinning with confusion and fear. "Why me?" he whispered. "Why not someone else?" The woman's glowing eyes softened. "Because, Ethan," she said quietly, "you already met us before. You just don't remember yet." Her words hit him like a wave. His body went still. "Met you?" he repeated. "When?" The lights around them flickered, and the images on the walls changed, showing a small boy lying in bed as a faint blue light glowed above him. Ethan's heart stopped. "That's me," he whispered. "That's me when I was a child." The woman nodded slowly. "Yes, that was the first time we came to you." Ethan felt cold all over. His childhood memories suddenly flashed. Strange dreams he'd forgotten, nights when he woke up feeling watched. He had always believed they were just nightmares. But now, he wasn't sure anymore. The woman looked at him with quiet sadness. "You were never meant to remember. But the time has come. You must know who you are." The blue light around them grew brighter. Ethan took a step back, fear filling his chest again. "Who I am?" he repeated, his voice shaking. "What are you talking about?" The woman looked directly into his eyes and whispered, "You are not completely human, Ethan." The light exploded once more, and everything turned white. The light surrounded Ethan completely, bright, endless, almost alive. He couldn't tell if he was moving or floating. There was no sound, no air, no sense of up or down. It felt like he was part of the light itself. His body wasn't solid anymore. It was energy, pulsing in rhythm with the light around him. For a moment, he felt peaceful, free from fear, free from pain. But then, the peace shattered. A loud, deep vibration ran through the space, and suddenly he was falling again. He tried to scream, but no sound came out. Then, with a flash, he hit solid ground. He gasped, his lungs filling with cold air. When he opened his eyes, he was no longer in the Hall of Lights. He was outside, standing on what looked like the surface of another world. The sky above him shimmered with shades of silver and blue, swirling like a living ocean. The ground beneath his feet was made of crystal-like sand that glowed faintly under the strange light. Far away, massive floating structures hovered silently in the air, connected by thin beams of energy. The place was beautiful, but it didn't feel safe. It felt alive. Ethan looked around, confused and terrified. "Where am I?" he whispered. Then he heard the woman's voice again, not near him, but inside his head. "You have crossed into the between," she said. "It is a space between worlds. Few can survive here, but your energy protects you." Ethan turned in circles, looking for her, but she wasn't there. "Why bring me here?" he shouted. "What am I supposed to do?" Her voice was calm, echoing like wind. "You must learn control. Your body is awakening faster than expected. If you cannot guide your power, it will consume you." Ethan felt frustration rise inside him. "You keep talking about power like it's a gift," he said. "But all it's done is scare me. I didn't ask for any of this." There was silence for a long moment. Then, softly, the woman replied, "Power does not ask permission to exist. It only asks to be understood." Ethan sighed, looking at his glowing hands. The light beneath his skin had grown stronger. Tiny sparks danced around his fingers whenever he moved. It felt strange, not painful, but heavy, like the world's energy was running through him. He closed his eyes and tried to breathe slowly. The air in this place was thin but full of vibration, as if it carried whispers. When he opened his eyes again, something shifted in the distance, a figure walking toward him. At first, he thought it was the same woman, but as the figure came closer, he realized it wasn't. This one looked darker, taller, wearing something like a metallic cloak that shimmered with red energy. Its face was hidden, but two bright eyes glowed like burning stars. Ethan took a step back, his body tense. "Who are you?" he called out. The figure stopped several feet away, its voice deep and echoing. "You should not be here, half-blood," it said. "This realm is forbidden to your kind." Ethan frowned. "Half-blood?" The figure tilted its head. "A creature born of two worlds, human weakness and alien power. You do not belong in either." Ethan clenched his fists. "I didn't choose that. I didn't even know until today." The figure laughed, a cold, sharp sound. "And yet, your energy wakes this world from sleep. You are dangerous to both sides." Before Ethan could reply, the ground beneath them cracked, glowing with red light. The figure raised its hand, and a surge of energy shot toward him like lightning. Ethan instinctively lifted his arm, and a flash of blue light exploded from his palm, meeting the attack midday. The impact was so strong it threw him backward. He rolled across the glowing sand, gasping for breath. His body shook, his hands smoking with blue fire. What was that? He whispered. The dark figure stepped closer. You are unstable. You cannot control what you are. It raised its arm again. Ethan panicked and raised both hands, shouting, Stop! Another burst of blue light erupted from him, brighter and stronger this time. The air cracked open like glass. The energy threw the dark figure backward and sent a wave across the landscape. The floating structures in the distance trembled, some breaking apart and falling into the glowing mist below. Ethan fell to his knees, panting, terrified of himself. The woman's voice echoed in his head again, louder now. Ethan, listen to me. You must calm your thoughts. The between react to emotion. If you lose control, it will collapse. He squeezed his eyes shut, trying to breathe. I'm trying, he shouted, but I can't stop it. His heart was racing, his thoughts wild. Every memory, his mother, his fear, his confusion, mixed together, fueling the storm around him. The woman's voice grew softer. Remember her, Ethan. Remember your mother's voice. Let her calm you. He opened his eyes, tears streaming down his face. Mom, he whispered, help me. And just like that, he felt warmth spread through his chest, gentle, familiar, comforting. The chaos around him slowed. The light faded from his hands. The red cracks on the ground sealed themselves, and silence returned. Ethan fell forward, exhausted, breathing heavily. After a few seconds, the blue glow around him dimmed, and a soft light appeared above. The woman from before slowly materialized, her face calm but serious. She looked at him with a mixture of pride and concern. You did it, she said. You touched your center. Ethan looked up at her weakly. I almost destroyed everything. She shook her head. No, you saved yourself. And now, you know what lies inside you. He sat on the glowing ground, shaking his head in disbelief. What was that thing? He asked. The one that attacked me. The woman's expression darkened. A guardian, she said quietly. They protect the between from intruders. They sense your energy as a threat. Ethan frowned. So even here, I'm an outsider. She nodded slowly. For now. But you can become more than that, if you learn. He looked at her for a long moment, then finally said, And if I don't? Her glowing eyes met his. Then both our worlds will fall apart. The link inside you will tear them open. Ethan's stomach turned cold. He didn't understand everything, but one thing was clear. He wasn't safe anywhere. Not on Earth. Not here. Not even inside his own mind. He stood up slowly, looking at the endless glowing sky. Then teach me, he said quietly. I don't know how, but I'll try. The woman gave a faint smile, almost human. Then we begin. As she raised her hand, blue symbols appeared around them, floating like stars. The air vibrated softly, and Ethan felt his body lift slightly from the ground. He closed his eyes as the symbols wrapped around him like light. For the first time, he didn't feel fear, only purpose. Somewhere deep inside, he knew this was only the beginning. The symbols around Ethan spun slowly, wrapping him in soft blue light. He felt his body rise from the glowing sand, weightless, calm, almost peaceful. The woman's voice echoed gently through the air. Do not fight it, she said. Let the energy flow through you. Ethan tried to relax, but his heart still raced. Every time he closed his eyes, he could see flashes, the dark figure, his mother's glowing face, the world made of light. It all felt unreal, yet painfully real at the same time. He took a slow breath. The air inside this strange world vibrated softly, like music he couldn't hear but could feel. The symbols around him grew brighter and began to sink into his skin, leaving faint lines of light across his chest and arms. What's happening? He asked. You are connecting, the woman said. These symbols will help you control your power. They are part of your mother's legacy. Ethan looked at her through the bright haze. My mother. The woman nodded. She created them for you before she left your world. She knew this day would come. Ethan's throat tightened. She knew I'd come here. She hoped, the woman said softly. She believed you would find your way when the time was right. The light around him began to fade, and he gently floated back down to the glowing ground. His body felt warm, strong, different. He looked at his hands, which now carried faint glowing symbols that pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. He could feel energy inside him, alive and ready to move. For the first time, it didn't scare him. It felt like part of him, something that had always been there, waiting to wake up. The woman walked closer, her silver hair glowing faintly in the blue light. "Your training begins now," she said. "You must learn to use your power without fear. Every emotion you feel changes the energy inside you. If you let fear control you, the power will turn against you." Ethan nodded slowly. "And if I learn control?" Her expression softened. "Then you will be able to shape reality itself." Her words sent a shiver through him. "Shape reality," he repeated. "That's impossible." She looked at him with calm eyes. "So is her existence, Ethan. Yet here you are." She raised her hand, and the world around them shifted. The glowing sand melted away, replaced by a massive circular space, an empty room filled with floating stones and light. Ethan looked around, amazed. "Where are we?" "A training field," she said. "It will respond to your mind." She gestured toward a cluster of floating stones. "Try to move one." Ethan frowned. "How?" "Do not use strength," she said. "Use focus. Imagine the stone obeying you." He stared at one of the floating stones, trying to concentrate. Nothing happened. He frowned, focusing harder. "Come on," he muttered. The woman's voice was calm. "You are thinking like a human. Stop forcing. Feel, don't think." Ethan took a deep breath and closed his eyes. He pictured the stone gently floating toward him. For a few seconds, there was only silence. Then, a faint sound. He opened his eyes. The stone trembled, then moved slightly closer. His heart leapt. "I did it," he said, grinning. But the excitement made him lose focus, and the stone dropped back into place. The woman smiled faintly. "You did it, for a moment. Remember, power answers emotion, not command. Calm mind, steady heart." Ethan nodded. "Okay, let's try again." He took another breath and reached out his hand. This time, he focused not on the stone but on the space between them, the connection he could feel through the air. Slowly, the stone began to move again, floating toward him until it hovered a few inches from his hand. He stared at it in wonder. "I can feel it," he said quietly. "It's like it's alive." "Everything is alive," the woman said. "Matter is energy. Energy is thought. When you understand that, you can change anything." Ethan lowered the stone carefully and looked at her. "You make it sound easy." She smiled slightly. "It took me 200 years to make it look easy." Ethan blinked. 200. "Time moves differently for us," she said. "But you don't have that long. The worlds are already shifting. The barrier is weakening." He frowned. "What do you mean?" Her expression grew serious. "The connection between your world and ours has been growing unstable. When your power awakened, it began to open a gate, a tear between dimensions. If we do not close it, both worlds will collide." Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. "So you're saying this is my fault?" The woman shook her head. "Not fault. Destiny. You were created to balance both worlds. But now, your uncontrolled energy is breaking the balance instead." He looked away, guilt flooding his chest. "I didn't ask to be some bridge. I just wanted a normal life." Her voice softened. "No life is normal, Ethan. Every soul carries a purpose. Yours is simply harder to bear." He sighed, running his hands through his hair. "So what do I do?" She stepped closer and placed her hand gently on his shoulder. "You learn to master it before it masters you." Before he could reply, the air around them started to ripple. The floating stones trembled. Ethan looked up, alarmed. "What's happening?" The woman's eyes narrowed. "Something is entering this realm." A sharp red flash cut through the blue light, and the ground shook violently. Ethan staggered, trying to keep his balance. Out of the red mist stepped the same dark figure he had fought before, its glowing eyes burning like fire. The woman raised a hand, summoning a shield of light around Ethan. "Stay behind me," she said firmly. The figure laughed, its voice echoing. "You cannot protect him forever, Soraya." Ethan froze. "You know him." The woman didn't look at him. "He is from our world, a keeper of order. He believes your existence is a mistake." The dark figure lifted its hand, and red lightning filled the air, a mistake that must be erased. He sent a bolt toward them, crashing into Soraya's shield. The impact threw Ethan backward, but the shield held. The air burned with energy. Soraya turned her head slightly. "Ethan," she said, her voice calm but urgent, "you must fight with me." Ethan shook his head, fear returning. "I don't know how." "Then learn now," she said, "because if you don't, neither world will survive." He looked at her, trembling, his hands glowing faintly blue. For a moment, everything around him slowed, the red light, the sound, even his own breath. Deep inside, something stirred. His mother's words echoed in his mind. "You're my greatest gift to both worlds." He clenched his fists, feeling the energy surge through him. "Okay," he whispered, "let's finish this." And as a dark figure charged again, the blue light in Ethan's body erupted like a storm. The red light grew brighter, covering the sky like a storm. The ground under Ethan's feet cracked, and the air burned with strange energy. The dark figure stepped closer, its eyes glowing like fire in a shadowed face. "You don't belong here," it growled, its voice heavy like thunder. Ethan could barely breathe. His body trembled, but inside him, something pulsed. The blue energy Soraya had awakened. He looked at her and saw calm determination in her glowing eyes. Soraya raised her hand, and a wall of shimmering light rose between them and the creature. "We will not let you destroy him," she said firmly. The dark figure laughed, a low, cold sound that sent chills through the air. "You cannot protect him forever, Soraya. His existence breaks the balance. The gate is already open. Can't you feel it?" Ethan glanced around and realized the creature was right. Cracks of red light were spreading through the air itself, like broken glass. Beyond those cracks, he could see flickering images, cities, oceans, mountains, both from his world and from Soraya's. The two realities were starting to blend. He whispered, "It's merging." Soraya's voice was calm but heavy. "Yes, and if it merges completely, both worlds will die." Ethan swallowed hard. "Then we have to stop it." The dark figure lifted its arm, and a massive wave of energy surged forward, crashing into Soraya's shield. The impact threw her backward, and the shield shattered into sparks of blue light. Ethan ran to her, helping her stand. "Soraya." She winced but managed a weak smile. "I'm fine. You must fight now." "Me?" Ethan said, panic rising. "I don't even know what I'm doing." "You don't need to know," Soraya said. "You only need to feel." Before Ethan could answer, the dark figure attacked again. It moved like smoke, fast, twisting, impossible to track. Ethan barely managed to roll aside as red fire exploded where he had been standing. The ground shook beneath him. His heart pounded. "You cannot escape," the creature said. "You were never meant to exist." Something inside Ethan snapped. He looked at the creature with anger and fear. "I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for any of it." He raised his hands, and blue light burst from his palms, shooting toward the figure. The beam struck, and for the first time, the dark figure staggered backward. The air crackled with power. Soraya's eyes widened. "Good! Again!" Ethan focused, pushing harder. Blue waves of energy clashed against red, lighting up the entire space like a storm of lightning. The ground cracked, and pieces of the floating stones began to spin around them, caught between the two powers. Ethan screamed, his body glowing brighter with every second. The creature roared back, fighting to push him down. "You cannot win. You are only half of what you should be." Ethan's breath came out in gasps. "Half!" he shouted. "What are you talking about?" The dark figure stopped for a moment. "You are part of us, and part of them. You are the bridge and the weapon. Without control, you will destroy everything." Ethan's heart pounded. "Then help me control it," he yelled. But the creature shook its head slowly. "It is too late." It raised both arms, and the red cracks in the sky spread wider. Ethan could feel the energy pulling at him, tearing at his mind. Soraya shouted, "Ethan, focus on me. Remember your center." He turned to her, her face calm and steady even as the storm raged. "Listen to my voice," she said. "You are not the energy. You are the balance. Breathe." He took a deep breath, closing his eyes. He could feel both forces, the red chaos and the blue calm, inside him. One wanted to destroy, the other wanted to heal. And somewhere between them was him, human, fragile, but full of choice. He opened his eyes, and they glowed a brilliant white, both red and blue combined. The air around him went silent. Even the creature froze. "What have you done?" it whispered. Ethan took a step forward, his voice low but steady. "I'm done running." The storm exploded around him. Energy surged from his body in every direction, turning the darkness into light. The creature screamed, trying to resist, but the light wrapped around it, burning through its shadow. For a moment, everything was pure brightness, and then silence. When the light faded, Ethan was standing alone in the middle of a calm, silver field. The cracks in the sky were gone. The red light had vanished. The air was still again. Soraya appeared beside him, her form flickering slightly. She smiled faintly. "You did it." Ethan looked down at his hands. The symbols were fading, turning into faint scars. He felt tired but peaceful. "Where did he go?" he asked. Soraya's expression turned sad. "Back to where he belongs. He was never your enemy, Ethan. He was your guardian, a protector who believed destroying you was the only way to save the worlds." Ethan stared at her. "He tried to kill me." She nodded. "Yes, because he feared what you might become." "And what will I become?" Ethan asked quietly. Soraya looked at him for a long moment. "That depends on you. The gate is closed for now, but it will open again. When it does, both worlds will look to you, not as their destroyer, but as their bridge." He looked away, the weight of her words sinking in. "I'm just a man, Soraya. I don't know how to be that." She smiled gently. "Neither did your mother. But she learned, and so will you." A soft breeze passed through the glowing field. Ethan felt his body growing lighter. "Wait, what's happening?" he asked. Soraya's image was already fading. "You're returning," she said softly. "Your world needs you now." He reached out to her. "Will I see you again?" Her voice echoed faintly as the light surrounded him once more. "In every dream you have, I will be there." The next thing Ethan knew, he was lying in his bed, back in his apartment. Morning light filtered through the window. Everything looked normal, quiet. But when he lifted his hand, faint blue marks still glowed on his skin. He stared at them, a small smile forming on his face. Maybe it wasn't a dream after all. And somewhere, far beyond the stars, Soraya looked up at the sky and whispered, "The bridge has awakened." Morning sunlight poured softly into Ethan's apartment, cutting across the floor in golden lines. For a moment, everything looked peaceful. The ticking clock, the quiet hum of the refrigerator, the faint smell of coffee in the air. But Ethan didn't feel peaceful. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the faint glowing symbols on his skin. They pulsed gently, like a heartbeat, refusing to fade completely. He touched one of the marks on his arm and whispered, "It's real! The memories of Soraya, the dark guardian, the blinding light, everything came flooding back." It wasn't a dream. He had been somewhere else, a place beyond logic, and somehow he had come back alive. He stood up slowly and walked to the mirror. His reflection looked the same. Tired eyes, messy hair, but there was something different about him now. The blue lines under his skin shimmered faintly, especially when he felt strong emotion. "I'm not the same anymore," he said softly. The city outside was waking up. Cars moved below. People walked to work, and nothing seemed unusual. Yet as Ethan looked out the window, he felt something strange in the air, like a faint vibration, almost too soft to notice. It was the same energy he had felt before being pulled into Soraya's world. His heart skipped a beat. No, it can't be happening again. He grabbed his phone and tried to call his co-worker Mark, but the screen flickered. Static lines of blue light flashed for a split second before returning to normal. His breath caught. The energy was interfering with electronics now. He looked around the apartment nervously. The air had a faint metallic taste, and the ceiling light buzzed faintly. That's when he heard it, a low hum, deep and steady, coming from outside. Ethan rushed to the window and froze. In the sky, above the distant skyscrapers, a faint ripple of blue light was spreading across the clouds, moving like a wave. It wasn't lightning. It was something else, familiar, otherworldly. He whispered, "The gate!" He quickly dressed, grabbed his jacket, and ran outside. The streets were full of normal life, people chatting, buses moving, a couple arguing over coffee, but nobody seemed to notice the light in the sky. Only he could see it. The realization made his stomach twist. "Why can I see it?" he muttered. "Why me?" He walked quickly toward the city park, following the direction of the glowing ripple. Every step he took, the humming grew stronger. When he finally reached the park, he saw something that made his heart stop. In the middle of the grass, where children usually played, there was a circular pattern burned into the ground, the same symbol he had touched in the alien chamber. He stepped closer, feeling the vibration under his feet. The symbol glowed faintly blue. He knelt and reached out his hand. But before he could touch it, a shock of energy flashed through the air. Ethan stumbled backward, gasping. His vision blurred, and for a split second, he saw something impossible. Soraya's face. It was faint, like a reflection on water. She was speaking, but her voice was broken, flickering. "Ethan, the gate? Not closed." The image vanished, leaving only the quiet sound of wind through the trees. Ethan stared at the spot where she had appeared, heart pounding. "The gate isn't closed," he whispered. He stood up, scanning the park. No one else had seen anything. Children were laughing nearby, completely unaware of what had just happened. Ethan rubbed his temples. "Okay, calm down," he told himself. "Think." If the gate was reopening, that meant the balance between the two worlds was breaking again. But why? He thought of what the Dark Guardian had said. "You are the bridge and the weapon." Maybe his energy, still active inside him, was causing the gate to react. That night, he couldn't sleep. Every few minutes, his apartment lights flickered, and the symbols on his skin glowed brighter. He sat by the window, staring at the dark city outside. Somewhere, faint blue lightning danced across the clouds again. He felt both fear and something else, a strange pull, like the energy was calling him. At midnight, his phone vibrated. The screen turned blue, showing no numbers, only a symbol. The same one from the park. His hand shook as he answered. "Hello." A soft voice came through, mixed with static. "Ethan, can you hear me?" It was Soraya. His heart jumped. "Soraya, you're alive." "Yes," she said weakly. "But the connection between worlds is unstable. Something went wrong when the gate closed." "What do you mean?" Ethan asked. "There's another energy source on your world, one that shouldn't exist. Someone is trying to reopen the passage." Ethan frowned. "Who?" "The Guardian." "No," Soraya said. "He is gone. This presence is different. Human." Ethan froze. "Human? You mean someone here?" "Yes. Someone who touched the energy when you returned." He tried to think. Who could it be? Then a chill ran down his spine. His co-worker Mark, the one he had almost called earlier. The last person who saw him before he disappeared that night. He remembered leaving the lab in a rush, the strange machine Mark had been working on, and the bright light that followed. "Mark!" he whispered. Soraya's voice flickered again. "Find him before it's too late. If he opens the gate completely, neither world will survive." "Wait!" Ethan shouted. "Soraya, how do I stop it?" But the line went dead, and the phone went black. He stared at it, his heart pounding. The blue marks on his arm glowed brighter now, reacting to something. He stood up, determination in his eyes. "If Mark started this, I'll end it." He grabbed his jacket and headed for the lab, the city street silent under the cold blue sky. Above him, the ripple of energy widened, spreading like a heartbeat across the clouds. Somewhere deep inside the lab, another light had already awakened, red and sharp, waiting for him to arrive. The city was quiet, but the silence felt wrong. The sky above glowed faintly blue, and the wind carried a strange hum, like the city itself was breathing. Ethan walked fast through the empty streets, his coat flapping behind him. Every step closer to the lab made his heart beat harder. The marks on his arms were glowing brighter now, pulsing in rhythm with a strange light above. He knew Sarai was right. Something terrible was happening again. When he reached the building, the front doors were open. The security lights flickered, and the air smelled of burnt metal. Ethan stepped inside carefully. The hallways were empty, papers scattered across the floor, monitors flashing random symbols, the same alien language he had seen in the other world. He whispered, "Mark, what did you do?" As he moved deeper inside, the humming grew louder. It came from the research chamber, the same room where everything had started weeks ago. The door was half open, and a blue glow spilled out from inside. Ethan pushed it open slowly and froze. Mark was standing in the middle of the room, surrounded by swirling energy. The machine they had built together, a simple energy stabilizer, was now transformed. Its metal frame floated off the ground, covered in glowing alien symbols. Cables twisted like living vines. In the air above it, a circular portal was forming, blue and red light spinning together, growing larger every second. Ethan stepped forward. "Mark! Stop it!" Mark turned slowly. His face was pale, his eyes shining faint blue. "Ethan," he said softly, almost dreamlike, "you came back." "Yes, I did," Ethan said. "And now you have to shut this down before it destroys everything." Mark smiled faintly, almost sadly. "You don't understand. I'm not destroying anything. I'm finishing what you started." Ethan frowned. "What are you talking about?" Mark raised his hand. The blue light around him shimmered. "The night you disappeared, I saw it. That light, that power. It touched me, Ethan, just for a second, but it changed everything. I saw what you saw. Two worlds, one broken, one alive. I realized this world, our world, it's dying. Pollution, greed, endless war. But the other world, it's pure, connected, perfect. I can bring that energy here." Ethan's eyes widened. "You can't merge them. It'll destroy both." Mark shook his head, almost smiling. "No, it'll save us." The portal pulsed brighter, wind rushing through the room. Objects lifted off the ground, spinning around them. Ethan tried to move closer, shouting over the noise. "Mark, listen to me. That energy isn't ours to control. It nearly killed me." Mark's voice cracked. "I saw Soraya. Ethan. She showed me everything. She wants this to happen." Ethan froze. "No, she doesn't." Mark's expression flickered with confusion. "She said we're chosen, both of us." Ethan took a slow step forward. "Mark, that wasn't Soraya. It was something else. The gate distorts reality. It shows you what you want to see." For a moment, Mark hesitated. Doubt flickered in his glowing eyes. But then, the portal roared louder, red lightning crawling across its surface. "It's too late," he whispered. "It's already begun." Ethan reached out his hand. "Then let me help you. Together we can close it." Mark looked at him, tears forming in his eyes. "I can't stop it, Ethan. It's alive." The floor cracked beneath them. Energy bolts shot through the air, burning holes in the ceiling. The marks on Ethan's arms blazed brighter than ever. He felt Soraya's voice in his mind, soft but urgent. "Ethan, the choice is yours. You can save one world, or both, if you let go of Faye." He looked at Mark, who was struggling to control the machine. "Let go of the energy." Ethan shouted, "It's feeding on your emotions." Mark screamed, his body shaking. "I can't. It won't let me." Without thinking, Ethan ran forward and grabbed Mark's hand. The instant their skin touched, a shock of blue and red light exploded between them. Ethan saw flashes, memories, faces, Soraya, the Dark Guardian, the two worlds colliding like fire and ice. The pain was unbearable, but he held on. "Mark, listen to me." Ethan shouted, "You're not alone. Let me take it." Mark looked at him through tears. "You'll die." "Maybe," Ethan said, "but not today." He closed his eyes and focused. The marks on his body glowed white now, brighter than the sun. He could feel the portal's energy surging through him, wild and chaotic. Soraya's voice echoed again. Balance, Ethan. You are the bridge. You must choose harmony. He opened his eyes, and everything went still. The blue and red light fused into pure white. The room filled with calm silence. The spinning object slowed and dropped. Mark collapsed to the floor, gasping for breath. Ethan stood in the center of the light, his body shining like glass. For a brief moment, he saw both worlds again, the human city and the alien world, overlapping, connected by a single glowing thread of light. He smiled softly. Now I understand. Then the light burst outward, swallowing everything. When Mark opened his eyes, the lab was silent. The portal was gone. The machine was destroyed, smoke rising gently from its remains. Ethan was nowhere to be seen. Only faint white dust sparkled in the air, slowly fading. Mark whispered, "Ethan," but no answer came. He fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. The world outside the window looked calm. No light, no storm. It was over. Then, from the sky, a faint blue shimmer spread for a second, like a heartbeat of light. Mark looked up, smiling through his tears. "You did it, didn't you?" Far away, in another world of silver skies and glowing fields, Soraya stood at the edge of a quiet lake. She looked down at the reflection on the water and saw Ethan's face smiling back. "You kept your promise," she whispered. "The bridge remains." And as the reflection faded, a single blue star appeared in the alien sky, pulsing softly, alive with his light.